Hey y'all, today we're talking about Drake and his supposed big business moves and what they mean for his career moving forward. Drake was recently hit with a $4.6 million lawsuit, and it may just be everything you think it is. One commentator that I watched discussing this lawsuit said that it doesn't mean Drake is going broke. It means he's getting ready to take things to the next level. I have a bit of a different opinion on that we'll get into, but first, let's talk about the loan. The initial loan given to OVO by ARI was a smooth $5.2 million. The reason for OVO taking out this loan was so the company didn't have to invest their own money into the manufacturing process before they actually saw any return. Lots of companies do this. They go out and find investors who are willing to help the business grow by giving a small loan of $1 million.
My father gave me a small loan of $1 million.
Basically, OVO wanted the loan to pay for the manufacturing and all of the inner workings of getting the clothes and different collaborations ready for market. Once all of these drops went public is when OVO would have started to see their revenue and potentially make double, triple, hell, maybe even quadruple the initial $5.2 million loan. Or maybe they made less than the initial loan, which is what you would call a failed business venture. The problem I see with saying they took out the loan for manufacturing is that with the supposed revenue that OVO was bringing in, they should have been able to reinvest the 5.2 into their own business. The loan doesn't make any sense unless the business didn't have $5.2 million. Maybe they were worried sales wouldn't be as good as they were hoping, so they didn't want to put up their own $5.2 million. I don't know. To me, this looks more like a company that is making up false numbers and that was hoping this recent year would yield a massive profit. And so the reason they pulled out the loan is because they needed it. I bet the hope was this loan would be easy to pay off once sales were being made, and when the company didn't perform as good as they thought it would, they were forced to sell 50% just to stay in the green. Now, according to Drake Dick Riders, the reason Drake is being sued is because he paid off the loan in a lump sum after not even a whole year. If you don't already know, the reason companies and banks give out loans and like debt is because they make a profit off of the interest. Let's look at this loan calculator that shows total interest. I put the loan as $5.2 million, interest at a pretty stable rate of 5.5%, and the loan payment as 5 years. So in that scenario, the interest made is a whopping $759,000. But if you extend the loan to be paid over 25 years, the total interest raises to $4.3 million. That's almost worth the same amount as the initial loan, meaning the borrower would have almost paid double their initial loan, which is why OVO decided to pay the debt off right away after making their initial profit from the 50% sale to ABG. Now, if we look back at the loan calculator, if you pay this $5.2 million off in 1 year, the total interest collected is only $156,000. But the monthly payment is $450,000. So the reason Drake is being sued is because he most likely took this loan out over maybe 5 to 10 years, let's say 8 to meet in the middle. And that would only be a $65,000 payment per month, meaning the interest collected would be even less than the $156,000 since the payment was initially meant to extend multiple years and only lasted 8 months. So in the grand scheme of things, AGI did get all of their money back plus a little interest, but not as much as they were banking on or that was initially agreed upon. The suspicious part about this is that OVO missed 2 months worth of payments. The first month, ARI filed a complaint or basically got primed up to sue them. Mind you, this monthly payment is mostly looking at around $50,000 to $60,000. By the second month of missed payment, OVO had made a deal with ARI saying, just give us a little time, we have something in the works to get your payments to you. And ARI agreed to giving them some extra time to get all their ducks in a row. Then, once the sale of 50% of OVO went through to ABG for an undisclosed amount, OVO went and paid off their debt to ARI in one big payment. So that's actually 2 more months worth of interest ARI wouldn't have collected because OVO didn't pay it. I obviously don't know the exact legal aspect of this all because most of the time, if you can pay off your debt in a lump sum, you're allowed to do that. These companies have really serious ironclad contracts in place though, so I'm sure they must believe they have some legal grounds to sue here. One thing that shouldn't be ignored, though, is that OVO did miss a $60,000 payment, or what I'm assuming is about $60,000. Why would they miss a payment if they knew that the money would be coming right back to them after the sale? If it's true that this sale was in the works for a while and this was all just part of Drake's master plan. They obviously missed the payment because the sale was actually a last-minute decision that had to be made in order to save the company from bankruptcy. Otherwise, there would be absolutely no reason for a missed payment. If your company is supposedly bringing in $50 million in net revenue, a $60,000 payment shouldn't kill you. Clearly, the money doesn't exist. I also don't really think it should be that surprising to people that Drake is in the business of dirty money and low-level scamming, or I guess high-level. He was in a recent lawsuit a few months back for promoting an online casino that was actually operating as a gambling platform to which the money made was being funneled into marketing his music. Plus, the dude has a bunch of different businesses that he funnels all of his money through, and he'll take lump sums from businesses, which isn't really how businesses work. Mainly, you pay yourself through the business, and that's how you take your money. You don't just take a big whole $5 million from a company. However, money flows in a circle, coming and going constantly. I think selling 50% of his clothing brand to a big giant in the clothing industry is a somewhat smart move in scaling the business and letting it become hands-free, but it doesn't make sense if Drake is really balling the way he says. The whole narrative that you can't break through in the fashion industry unless you're one of these big factories, it's just not true. There are so many factories in China, Indonesia, even Thailand that are actively looking for people to manufacture for. If Drake really is the boy, like he claims, then why was he unable to scale this business on his own? Is it because he doesn't have any actual brains working for him and only has leeches around him that want to take from him? Or is it because Drake is actually lazy and wants to make money without having to do any actual work? Maybe there's another reason for all of this. Since Drake is clearly trying to finish up and get out of his contract with UMG, these essential big money moves could be so he can have that initial investment and time to pour into his career as a solo artist. What do you guys think about it? Are you a Drake fan or a Drake hater? Do you think he's dumb and broke or very smart and very rich? People seem to have a pretty split opinion on him. Let me know yours in the comments. It was great talking to you all, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!